The key to ensuring the greatest level of performance and consistency when you log into game in Valorant is by far warming up. Warming up allows you to essentially get used to your aim for the day and reorient yourself in your aim. Allowing yourself to take time to remember the fundamentals of good aim and positioning will help you play much better for the rest of your play session, preventing tilt and making it a better overall use of your time. Today, I'll be going over a few examples of what you can do in order to better build a warm-up routine. Also note that all of the warm-ups that I have decided on here today are going to be within the Valorant client because I think the game itself has more than enough tools for you to be able to be proficient at the game. There's definitely other things you can use outside of the game like Kovacs or AimLab in order to get better, but I think that these things are not really that necessary, and I'd argue that the best way to receive a directly translatable benefit to Valorant would be to just use the tools that are in Valorant. If you think you play best with these tools, then definitely continue to use them. However, I don't think there's any loss to just using what you got right here in the Valorant game. Alright, so now onto the routine. There are things that you need to make sure you're doing outside of game so that once you hop into game, you can ensure that you are going to perform at your best that day. These are just basic things like making sure you're getting enough water, getting some exercise to make sure your body's moving, stretching out your hands so that you don't kill yourself, stuff like that. Doing these things will help you make sure that you won't get as tilted when you actually get into game. One thing that helps me a lot personally is making sure my hands aren't cold when I start playing. It's actually incredible how much it helps when you're playing just to make sure you actually have warm hands. There will be more blood flowing to them, you feel like your reactions are faster as well, it just helps so much. Now onto in-game practice. You can choose to do these things in different orders, but always like to lead with jumping into the range and just remembering how to use each of the guns again. You'd be surprised at how much your aim can vary on a day-to-day basis just because you went to bed or you went out and did something before playing again. This is why it's also great to jump into the range and try out each of the guns, making sure to remember the things like fire rate, recoil recovery speed, spray patterns, and matching these techniques with correct movement. Although this sort of thing may seem relatively mundane when you look at it at first, it helps a ton when you get into your actual games. By refreshing yourself on the playstyles and patterns you need for each of the guns, you can instantly apply the techniques into your game. This will make you play better and more confidently as a result. For best results, I like to go ahead and go through the most common guns I'll likely use in the game, so for me, that's the Classic, Vandal, and Operator, and then just test things like the bullet speed, recoil, etc. Feel free to test your shots on each of these guns for around 2 to 3 minutes just to rebuild your muscle memory. For the Classic, I like to make sure I'm firing at the right speed depending on the range that I'm working with. For the Vandal, I make sure that I'm comfortable firing at every relevant range in the game and matching that with the correct firing rate. This helps you be flexible and be ready to tap, spray, or burst as necessary. Practicing your spray pull downs are another great way to look for more consistency in gunfights, as that allows you to properly access the full power of your guns without hesitation. Following up on that, I highly recommend eliminating some of the bots or killing some of the drones flying outside the main part of the shooting ground. I like to test out my op flicks on the drones and then try to eliminate around 100 or 200 bots depending on how I am feeling. If after the first 100 I'm still feeling a little bit shaky, I'll just keep going. I'll also switch between different guns sometimes depending on how I'm feeling or if I need it, but I definitely get the most practice on the AR of my choice. I personally use the Vandal more because I like the reliable headshots, but if you're a Phantom player, feel free to do this exercise with that gun instead. After that, I'm usually feeling pretty good about my aim, so I wrap up with a quick deathmatch just to apply this stuff in practice. And after the match, then I could consider you pretty prepared to get into competitive or your scrim or whatever your skills desire. With a good set of warm-up exercises for both in and out of game, you can set yourself up for consistent improvement and healthy gameplay in each of your games. This routine is just an example of what I like to do to improve in game, but feel free to adapt to it to whatever you need as a player instead. Hope this helps so much, and stay fresh, brothers.